name is Richard Kudinov Kilegi. Why would they want to delete us from the face of this earth? Well, if you have paid enough attention to the fork-tongued devils who seek our annihilation, you will consider such ideas as addressing racial injustice, social injustice, the problem of whiteness, and racial supremacy. They will then try and support these notions with twisted snapshots of history, such as the slave trade, and paint whites as the evil people. They never tell you that after thousands of years of Africans selling their own from tribe to tribe and to Arabs in a culture that Europeans did not partake in that trade. Only a minority of colonialists decided to partake in that purely for profit. Some of you may have heard more anti-white propaganda with the term used as white privilege, which, contrary to the propaganda, whites overall did not benefit from slavery, as the slave trade undermined the value of their own labours and their wages were artificially suppressed because of this. You will hear talk of seeking to put an end to racial conflict as if whites somehow are the only race to ever have won wars with other people, when the history of mankind is one of conflict, and they mean not one word of it, nor can they show how it will prevent conflict given the modern day wars that have raged in Africa and in the Middle East and totally removed from any white army from being involved, such as Yemen right now with the Saudis slaughtering the Shiites, or Sudan where Muslims slaughtered around 3 million Christians not so long back, or where Rwanda saw sectarian massacres between Hutus and Tutsis based on class divisions. So much for our peace, eh? No, it is all lies. What it really comes down to is in my next topic, finance. Finance is something few truly understand, but more are beginning to, thankfully. If anyone wishes to understand more on this, there is a video that I highly recommend, and it is called The Money Masters. It will blow the pants off you. If you wish to understand the truth of things, then this is a great video to watch. One of the earliest documented accounts of the Luciferian cult behind usury is to be found in the Bible. Now, I know that Christianity is a divisive issue, and I'm not saying that you must attend church on a Sunday, but the fact is the first historical account of these usury masters and someone rising against them is the biblical story of Jesus. He picked up a whip and chased them from the temple because of their usury. To anyone who is unfamiliar with this term, usury is simply debt with interest. Over the course of history, these moneylenders have been kicked out of Gentile lands over 100 times. From Carthage in 250 AD, to England in 1290 AD, to Ukraine in 1648, and into Germany in the 1930s and 40s. And all these usury masters have been evicted from Gentile lands 109 times. Isn't it strange that our judiciary system doesn't uphold King Edward's Edict of Expulsion Act from 17th of July 1290 AD, despite it never being repealed? One of the names of some of you are familiar with is the Rothschild and the Khazarian Mafia. They were pivotal over the last few centuries, manipulating and subverting our financial institutions and subsequently our political institutions to wield total control over our nations, and I mean total control. Through their fractional reserve bonsai schemes, they now control our politicians, our media, our finance, academia, resources, and the minds of so many of our people who are too blind and too programmed by them to see the matrix around them for what it truly is. The matrix is a genocidal trap designed to affect our deletion. They seek to eradicate us because they have been kicked out so many times, and our people have historically proven to be the hardest to control. Time and again we rose up and liberated our people from their usury and their poisons, their child sacrifice and paedophilia. Yes, the institutionalized paedophilia we have witnessed through Western establishments. Only the evil or the stupid will ever serve these people and obey blindly. That means a lot of people right now, including the police, who facilitate the total genocide of our race, the white race. Yes, and replace us with non-white people. Not to deal with their imaginary social injustice and racial supremacism, but simply because they think that non-whites are easier to rule over, and they are too smart and regard them as easy prey to rule over, unlike us whites. It is even documented in a book penned by Richard Kudinoff-Kalergi himself in 1924, and here I will quote a sentence from that book. The white race of Europe should be destroyed and replaced with a race of Eurasian Negroids who can be easily controlled by the elite, and we all know who these elite are. Just to finish off my speech, I feel it my duty to mention the immigration centre that some people of Wakefield do not know about. Angel Lodge Immigration Centre is situated on Love Lane behind Wakefield Prison. It was refurbished in 2012-13 and given the full approval by the Labour Party controlled Wakefield Council. This immigration centre can house up to 330 African immigrants at a time. Many of these are Muslims. Once they have been processed, they will be given accommodation within the Wakefield district. The people have to ask, why are these people coming to Wakefield and for what reason? The simple answer to that is, I could come up with simple. This is another part of the Kudinoff-Kalergi genocide program. To genocide not only the people of Wakefield, but to genocide the white race in general. Also, not many people in this area know that a portion of their council tax goes towards the upkeep of this immigration centre.
No more for years!
The Labour Party, the corrupt Labour Party, are not obliged to tell you. I will look at the demographics of Wakefield to understand that Angel Lodge is playing a key role in this planned genocide. If you don't make a stand now to preserve our racial and cultural identity, then who will? We are the last line of defence to ensure that our children and their children's children have a secure future. What will you say to your grandchildren when they ask you why you didn't do nothing to secure their futures? Will it be because you was afraid to be called a racist? We must secure the existence of our people and a future for white children. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your day. Friends, this country is called Great Britain because we British people have made this country. Our forebears, our people, our ancestors have lived here for thousands of years. This is our country and this is our home. But there are politicians, wicked politicians in Westminster. There are wicked politicians in Westminster who want to change all of this. There are party politicians, Labour politicians, Tory politicians, Liberal Democrat politicians who want to change all this. They want to invite the whole world into our country. There has been so much immigration into this country that now the #1 name for newborn baby boys is Mohammed.
Our ancestors will be spinning in the grave.
They would indeed. We'll let the present generation react positively and energetically in defence of our people, because the same politician traitors at Westminster, the same politicians who have invited millions of foreigners into our country, are the same politicians who cover up, who deliberately and wickedly. That is the new national anthem of Britain, eh? That's the new national anthem. There's always trouble, there's always problems in this country. Because the same politicians at Westminster who've invited millions of foreigners into our country are the same politicians who wickedly and deliberately cover up for the wicked crimes committed by the vile grooming gangs. For years and years and years, the vile grooming gangs raped, tortured and sold into prostitution defenceless English children, underage girls, some of them as young as 11 years of age, were vilely abused by the vile grooming gangs. And now it has come out, that for years and years and years, the political establishment, the Labour Party, the Tory Party, the Liberal Democrats, it's now come out, knew for years and years and years that the vile grooming gangs were vilely abusing defenceless children.
White children.
In one town alone, in Rotherham, more than 1,000 defenceless children, underage girls, in one town alone, for years and years and years, children were vilely abused by the vile grooming gangs, sold into prostitution, sexually abused, tortured and raped. And now it has come out that the authorities, the political authorities, for 12 years, the political authorities, the Labour Party, the Tory Party, the Liberal Democrats knew all about the vile crimes being committed by the vile grooming gangs. I tell you, friends, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, those politicians, they are complicit. They are complicit in the vile crimes committed by those vile groomers. They are complicit because they enabled those crimes to be committed year after year after year after year. I tell you, friends, I tell you, the Labour Party, the Tory Party, the Liberal Democrats, they are vile. They are vile. They are vile. They are flooding us. They are flooding us with millions of foreigners, and at the same time, they are wickedly and deliberately covering up the crimes of the multiracial society that they are forcing onto us. I say to you, speed the day, the British people scorn and reject the whole lot of them. Scorn and reject the whole lot of them. Long live the National Front, long live the National Front, long live the British people. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Daz. Thank you, everybody else who's helped out, all the stewards. Thanks, everybody who's travelled from all over the UK to come here today and show the people of Wakefield that we are not ashamed to be white men and women. We are white and proud, and we'll always stand white and proud
while the rest of the population, while the white man sleeps, and that's what they do. They do sleep. They're in a brainwashed coma by the little square box in the middle of the living room or in the corner. The people of the National Front and other nationalist organisations who are here today, we are the people that stand up for the white man. I look around and there's a lot of people stood here watching us from Wakefield today. Are you really happy with what's happening with your town? Are you happy with what's happening to Angel Lodge Immigration Centre, where, as my colleague Darren said, they're bringing Nigerians, they're bringing Congolese, they're housing them at Angel Lodge and then dispersing them with houses, with benefit around the UK. Are the people of Wakefield happy with that? No! Successive politicians have let the people of this country down, and yet the people keep voting for the same politicians. Everywhere you look, in the small villages, the small towns, you've got new housing estates springing up, brand new houses, and you've got white people moving out to the towns and the cities. White flight. Everywhere you look, they're moving out to the towns and cities. And you've only got to look at Manchester city centre now. It's full of immigrants and it's full of homosexuals. They're the people who live in the city centres. The white people, the white flighters, are moving to the small towns and villages. But you know what? In the same suicidal manner that when they've left them towns and cities, all along they've voted Labour, Conservative and Lib Dems. You'd think them leaving these towns and cities to get away from immigration, you would think they would change the voting pattern, but they continue to vote in the same suicidal manner. Well, the National Front is growing again. We're going to stand more candidates in every election, and we are always going to be there to give the right people a voice. And it's high time, when they look around at what's happening, that the white people of this country woke up out of the coma. You know, in all of these Yorkshire towns, Wakefield, Rotherham, they continue to vote Labour. 17.5% voted Labour again in this town. They voted the same amount, voted Labour 5 years ago. The difference was 5 years ago, when the BNP were active, the BNP got 2,500 votes in Wakefield. So where are those 2,500 people today? Why aren't they with us, listening to our message? Where are they today?
It's only going to get fuzzy more to the same.
They'll continue voting, and they'll continue for their own destruction and their own suicide. Ladies and gentlemen, our race, our people are the finest on this planet. They're the finest on this planet, but we're also the most gullible. We're also the most gullible, and they believe everything that the masters, those who really control us, are telling them. Our people are very, very gullible. It's up to us, it's up to nationalists to wake the people up, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to, they tell us we live in a democracy. A democracy where we've got a party ruling over us that won with a majority, yet only 24.5% of the electorate, the registered electorate, voted Tory. And yet 24.5%, and they can rule over us. But we all know democracy is a sham. It's a four-party system, and the establishment are quite happy when people vote for them four parties. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time now we took a leaf out of those who went before us. When in days gone by we had rulers that would put themselves at the front of the battlefield to protect our people. Where are the people like Harold? Where have they gone? And although he got defeated, Harold stood at the front of the battlefield. You'll never see Cameron or any of the royal family today standing there wanting to protect the British people, the white British people. Instead, the cowards send our soldiers abroad to fight foreign wars that are none of our business. Them soldiers should be here operating the system of repatriation, making sure every non-white is taken away from our lands. Those soldiers should be operating that system, and under a National Front government, ladies and gentlemen, that would be the policy.
What about the black people who were born here?
Go away.
Asian people who were born here?
Someone take that clown away. Ladies and gentlemen, the National Front is nearly 50 years old, and once again we're on the march, as everyone can see. Once again we're growing. The National Front, ladies and gentlemen, will carry on fighting, and we will stick to the same policy, and that is repatriation. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. We're all, after this, we're all walking back down to the Wakey Tavern. Everybody can have a drink, have a chat. The brand new issue of Bulldog is there. We're going to be giving that out. It's free. Have a drink and have a safe journey home. Thank you very much. Right, can the stewards and everybody get everybody forming up here with the drums again, and we're marching back down to the Wakey Tavern. So can everybody get in lines of three again, please?